Yo, 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 what is up guys? It's time for F1 Manager 23 Austrian Grand Prix. If you want to watch these episodes live, make sure Mega Gamer 8888 on Twitch. I stream every weekday some F1 Manager. As you saw the confidence going into qualifying, because it's a sprint weekend here at Austria.
As usual, drivers have 3 parts to qualify for their grid position. Unlike a regular qualifying, however, today will set the grid for the upcoming sprint.
In terms of George Russell and his form, Karun, how's he going to be feeling, do you imagine?
I wonder if they're feeling the competition with their teammate right now. There's not much between them in terms of points, which is good fuel for a friendly rivalry.
So here we are, ready to resume.
Circuits all clear.
Starting Q1 on the intermediate compounder tyre where the session is going to be at its driest. Yeah, Mega Gamer 8888 on Twitch every weekday. I stream this up until Tuesday the... what would it be? Would it be the 18th? No, it won't be the 8th. Friday the 16th. And then I'm going to wait till Friday the 23rd, and then we'll stream F1 Manager 24. And I'll be live today, but not for F1 Manager. I'll be doing F1 23 2-player grid mode. So make sure to tune in for that. Anyways, as we come through the corners, quicker than Stroll by about a tenth. Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc quicker. But that's us through 4th and 5th. We got good pace. Magnussen, Joe, Sonoda, Hulkenberg and De Vries all knocked out in Q1.
It's all clear ahead.
As
Good to go.
George, I believe, had 96% self-confidence. Lewis had 81, I think. I don't know, that was quite quick. I should have slowed that footage down, but hey-ho. Lewis is quicker, despite having the worst setup in Sector 1. So 16.3 compared to George's 16.4. Often these two will be separated by thousandths of a second. 28.463, 28.358. That's what I mean. They'll often be separated by hundredths and thousandths of a second. And rain is coming in this session. So whoever gets a time in last will be out. Whoever gets a time in first should be quickest. We're 2nd and 4th. Verstappen and Perez 1 and 3rd. Both McLarens out in Q2, that's not really a surprise. That means this is the 10th Grand Prix. For the 33rd Grand Prix in a row, we've got both cars into Q3. In 33 races, I've never had either car knocked out. That's 66 attempts at qualifying with neither car knocked out. Anyway, we're on the full wet tyres. It should be dry by the end of the session, but if I do this run, we can see what our wet pace is like, because there will be some rain in the main race, and they'll gain a little bit of confidence. So up to the line George goes, does 7 tenths off Lewis, but anyway, that's not the dry. This is the dry, and now it's time to show what we have pace-wise anyway. But we've not often been good in quali pace, so sorry, I just had to move around there. Not often been good in quali pace. Our car is normally much more suited race pace, but we are starting to gain. You know, Lewis has had a pole this season, but our quali pace is getting stronger as George is let by the Alpine, and so is Lewis, but Lewis had to lift a little bit there. That's not ideal. Up to line, George goes P3. Nice. Lewis goes P9. He must have really been blocked by that Alpine. Damn, that's a shame. That means I'm going to lose quite a bit of money as well, because I guaranteed 2 cars in the top 8 for 5 races, and that's not happened, so that's a shame. Anyway, on to practice 2. 15th and 20th, put the worn engines back in. Not really trying. It's not that deep. Gasly was fastest though. Yeah, 96 setup for George, 81 for Lewis. Not great for Lewis. His driver's confidence isn't great anyway, but on to the sprint race.
Welcome back as the drivers gear themselves up for today's sprint, the results of which will determine the grid for the Grand Prix. And whilst qualifying has already established today's starting grid, the results of the sprint will determine the lineup for the Grand Prix itself.
Points go to the top finishers in the sprint, and with no mandatory pit stops, it's all about the racing on the track.
So who will reach the peak and who has a mountain to climb here at the Austrian Sprint? We're ready for 24 laps around the Red Bull Ring in what should be a great sprint.
Drivers certainly don't shy away from overtaking on this circuit, meaning we should be in for a hotly contested competition here in Austria.
Well then folks, it's time to get going. Here in Austria, we're all ready to go for the sprint. And it's lights out and away we go.
And indeed it is lights out and away we go, putting both drivers on high overtake aggression because we need to make moves, especially with Lewis. Quite a few people started on hards, which I'm not sure why, but hey ho. Going to be quicker than them off the start, which is what we need. As George is fighting for P2, because I'm pretty sure he qualified third. Lewis up to 8th already, now back down to 9th. He must have been dive bombed like hell. On lap 2 up to 8th. On lap 4 he was up to 7th on Alonso. Now he's up to 6th on Stroll. George is staying in 3rd. Or he was until he decided to go around the outside of Max Verstappen, then down the inside of Carlos Sainz with the DRS, down into turn 3, technically turn 2 because that kink is in the corner, but hey ho. George is now leading. Lewis has gone up to P5. This car is a bit of a monster. And George is now fighting Carlos again. George is going to go storming around the outside of Carlos. And Lewis is fighting Charles Leclerc. He's going to dive down the inside. What a move that would be. Bold, strong, pushes his way past. As I don't know why. Oh no, I do know why the sprint was 1 lap shorter in real life yesterday. Because they had to abort a start. As George Russell takes the lead again. And Lewis is going to try and go down the inside of Verstappen. That was a bold move. That was a brave pass. And Lewis dives it down the inside of Carlos and gets the move. We're up until 1-2, just 11 laps in. And Lewis goes down the inside of George. And they're trying to make the move between the two Mercedes cars. We're just going to back out of this one and hope the drivers don't crash into each other. It's oh so close. Lewis keeps the place on George. George then comes back on Adam on lap 13, gets the place. Lewis on lap 14 uses DRS to get the place back, but they will start, their hards will start getting quicker, so we need to limit this. As George goes past Lewis again on lap 14. On lap 15, there goes Lewis. On lap 16, there goes George up at the top of the track, down towards racing, down towards turn 4. And Carlos now goes for it on Lewis. And Carlos has now got it. Carlos has split our two cars. Lewis goes around the outside of Carlos and George. And for some reason, they've just let Carlos through. Good job. Lewis, you're not going to Ferrari, mate. You don't need to work for them. And now Max gets past us. I'm starting to wonder how they're quicker and where our pace has gone. But hey-ho. Now we're down to 2nd and 4th. That's not ideal. Now down to 3rd and 4th. As George now tries to go around the outside of Carlos, which he does. He's now up to P2. He's going to try and lunge it down the inside of Max. We're going to back out of that. We're going to try on the final lap to go around the outside. Nothing he can make of it. We're going to get P2 and P4 in the sprint from P3 and P9. That is a great success. What a race that was. Let's go, we can push in the main race now.
And after today's sprint, it's a finish in the points for Lewis Hamilton.
A P4 finish, and it's obviously the work of a solid, well-run team.
race day, and final preparations are underway.
4 years on from the circuit being renamed to the Red Bull Ring, Max Verstappen became the first driver to bring an eponymous car to victory here in 2018. And it's a little rainy here today. Only a few drops for now, but teams will be monitoring the situation really closely during the race.
And this is the moment where it all comes together. So prepare for another thrilling race, here at the Austrian Grand Prix. Here among the Austrian mountains, the grid is now set for the 71 laps of the Red Bull Ring. And here's George Russell settling in for the race.
A second place start for them today. They'll be aiming for a podium, but could they even sneak the win?
And it looks like we're good to go. It's the race we've all been waiting for. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and all.
And away we go for the Austrian main race on into start, so we get pantsed because our car is quite literally terrible in the wet, but hey ho, gonna have to just beat around the bush and push along, give it as much pace as we can.
Right, let's follow the action now at turn 7. Oh, and they need to be watching those track
That's
limits.
not where you want to
And
be.
they might want to take a look at the floor of the car there, because that won't do it any good.
Hulkenberg goes off. Fernando Alonso sets the fastest lap. George gets overtaken by Leclerc on lap 26. We decide to pit for a second set of inters to see if we can catch back up to the leaders and beat them, more importantly, as we decide to save the game, and I decided to keep it in the edit for whatever reason. Anyway, into the pits we go. Good stop, please. 2.8, 2.9, that's good enough for our standards anyway. I'd love it to stay inters the whole race and nobody pits, because then we'd get an auto win, auto 1-2 in the pit stop championship. Anyway, Hamilton going on the inside of Gasly, makes the move stick, and I'm trying to send George in a couple laps late, see if he can get ahead of Perez and Stroll. In he comes for another set of inters, not risking the dries at this point, there's no need. But yeah, it's surprising that we were pushing so much compared to everyone else, and yet we were slower than everyone else. So, just shows where I think our car is in the wet, as that's a 3-second stop. Don't know why I checked where it was in the pit stop championship, because it's obviously going to be 1-2, because we're the only teams to have pit. As George gets overtaken by Gasly, but Lewis has jumped him. Lewis gets Perez, George gets Gasly. Lewis gets Stroll, George gets Perez, or tries to anyway. He now gets Perez, he now gets Stroll. Lewis then gets Ocon, and then Alonso. George then gets Ocon, and I skipped ahead at this because they just weren't overtaking when they were sat behind, and now Russell gets Alonso. So yeah, unfortunately, now the track's changed to dry. We wasted too much time, so there's no chance of getting anywhere near them, the top guys, because they just wouldn't overtake. But anyway, we're going to double stack for the dry compound of tyre. They're both going for a set of the mediums, I think, as that was a slow stop, 5.2, 3.1. Yeah, they're both going to the mediums, so we can push more.
So the Mercedes crew are out. They're really struggling.
Our first pit stop mistake of the year, and it's so hard to make them quicker and not make mistakes in the pit stop schedule, because all they do is just get worse no matter what it is. So I don't know how to do the pit stops, so if somebody could please help me, that would be good. As Lewis Hamilton takes the fastest lap, George Russell then nicks it, and Carlos Sainz takes it as there's a virtual safety car. And we're now on to the final lap, because there is literally nothing else to do. Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, Hamilton and Russell. Better than Spain, which is the only other race that's involved inters, but worse than any other race. But we need to keep pushing, we need to keep fighting, That World Championship is in reach,
That was
if
a
we can
solid
find it.
performance from Lewis Hamilton today.
I think they'll be pretty satisfied with this result. They bagged some points and they're going to be pleased with their finish.
Well, Max Verstappen can add yet another podium to his already impressive record.
Win number 5 is in the bag. They pulled out all the stops, pushing hard to earn that victory.
Well, there were mountains to overcome here in Austria, but those three managed to climb to the top. And as proceedings start to wind down here, what will Mercedes have made of this result, Karun?
Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag here. Some things went their way, but others didn't. I think their main target now will be finding some consistency for sure.
And that's it for this weekend here in Austria.
For the next round, we're heading back to the heart of the UK. Get ready for a race to remember in Silverstone, the cradle of Formula One.
Yeah, 4th and 5th, not great considering we started 2nd and 4th, but it is what it is. Hopefully better pace at Silverstone. Hopefully it'll be a dry race at Silverstone. Even though Silverstone we finished 2nd, 7th and 9th last season. But we need to keep pushing, we need to keep trying. Ferrari overtake us by 3 points. We're now 37 off Red Bull. We're going to have a new front wing upgrade actually for Austria. And we're going to do some front wing research, I think. Yes, no, maybe, possibly. What am I doing? I ain't got a clue. Yeah, there will be one more season of this, but we'll finish this season. Then we'll start F1 Manager 24. Then we'll probably do the first season of F1 Manager 24. And then we'll do this and F1 Manager 24 at the same time. So it'll be probably 2 videos a day, maybe 1 video a day, but it rotates as to which game it is. But yeah, anyway. Intense project design, because apparently intense means they get better every time, and there's the chassis design. That's not the design I just done. I wasn't looking properly at what design I think I just did. Might have been the suspension, a new suspension, as I emergency done 2 of the new chassis, slapped them on. Apparently the old chassis is better, but I doubt that. I doubt that. And we're going to research the chassis now. I should research the chassis or front wing, and I should probably use some hours. Yeah, there we go. We need to start focusing on next year's car, just in case we can't win the title this year. Which I believe we can, because we're not far off. But we need to not sacrifice next year's car for this year's car, especially when, you know, this year we could not win the title anyway. Make sure to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and follow me on Twitch, MegaGamer8888, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.